Hello everyone. After reviewing your Apex material for this week, I tried to pick out areas that I thought would be most challenging. So one topic I know some of you guys had trouble with in class was finding the domain and range from a graph. That is in this week's Apex, so I'm going to spend some time reviewing that. So you guys can see I have a bunch of graphs here, and I'm just going to go over how to find domain and range from each one. So first thing we need to remember is that the domain is all of the x values. So that's the numbers on the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis. And then the range is going to be all of the y values. So let me change color here. Okay, so the range is all of the y's, so that's all the numbers on the vertical axis. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep things color-coded so you guys can kind of really see what I'm talking about. So for the domain, that's where you want to look at left and right movement. So how far left and how far right we're going to go. Okay, so what I mean by that is I want to take my graph and look at the leftmost point. So if I am on this axis, I'm going to go as far over as I can. So this is the leftmost point. And if I look at the x value there, let's see if I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is at a -6. Now I want to go to the rightmost point. So I'm going all the way to the end of the graph. And over here, this is the rightmost point. So again, count up your numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for my first graph, all of the domain values fall in between -6 and 6. And for the most part, the way Apex is going to have you write it is with that inequality notation. So you want to set up your inequalities. Both of them are going to be less than or equal to's. Remember, they should look like L's. And then you want to put the smaller value on the left side, so -6 over here, and then the larger value on the larger value on the right side. So your domain falls in between -6 and 6. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm looking at the domain, which means I'm going to look at highest and lowest point. Highest and lowest. So if I look at my graph is this little weird curvy line here, kind of looks like a W. I want to look at the lowest point. So the lowest point is all the way down here, and that is, I want to look at the y value at that point. So these are my different y values right here. So this is at 0. That's where y is 0. And if you're not sure, you can always look at the actual coordinate. So the actual point there is 3, 0, but I don't care about the x value because I'm working with the range. So the only value I care about is the y. So y is 0, and then I want to look at the highest value. So my highest point is all the way up here. And again, I want to look at the y value. So count up to your y values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means my graph uses all of the y values between 0 and 6. So the way I want to write that, we would say, again, we're going to have our y in the center, less than or equal to on each side. Put the smaller value on the left, so 0, and then it went all the way up to 6. So that is how you want to write your domain and range for this section. So I'm going to go over another problem. I'm going to go over a couple of these. Let's see if I can switch some colors. I know that blue is a little hard to read on the graph. Okay, so I'm going to stick with red for our domain. So again, the domain, I want to look at the leftmost and rightmost points. So I'm just going to draw those lines in right now. And then I want to look at the x values here and here. Okay, so I'm counting -7 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for my domain, -7 is the smallest. I have my less than or equal to x, less than or equal to, and then put the largest value on the other side. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the range. I'm going to use this yellow, see if we can see this better. So for the range, I want to use the lowest point. So my lowest point's all the way down here. My highest point on the graph is up here. So I want to look at the y values here and here. So right here, this highest one is at a +1. This lowest one is at a 1, 2, -3. So for my range, again, I have my y less than or equal to on each side. If you want to start by writing this each time, go right ahead. That's the way I like to do it too. Okay, so put our lowest value on the left side, highest value on the right. So I have -3 up to 1. So that is how you want to find all of these domains and ranges. So if we take a look at letter C here, let's look at my domain first. So domain, I'm going to look at how far left and how far right it goes. If I look, this one is all staying right here. All of the x values on this line are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them are at -5. So in this case, because I only have this one value, I can say that x will always equal -5, because no matter what point I choose on that line, it is always going to have an x value of -5. So this is kind of a special case. Normally you won't see a straight line like this. Now let's look at the the range. So range, we look at the lowest and highest point. And when I draw these lines, I want to extend it so that it goes through the y-axis. That way I can easily pick out what y value it's hitting. So down here, it looks like it's hitting -2. Up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going all the way up to 6. So for my range, I have my y in the center, less than or equal to on each side. I put the smaller number on the left, larger number on the right. And you are done. So let's do just one more. Let's do one or two. Okay, so with the next one, letter D, we have the circle. We're still going to look at it the same way. So domain, I want to look at the leftmost point and the rightmost point. So if you take your pen or pencil, drag it to the left, you want to stop at the leftmost point. So that's over here. And then drag your pencil to the rightmost point. It's all the way over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, -4, 1, 2, 3, and +4. So for my domain, I would have that x falls in between -4 and +4. So now I want to repeat that same thing for my range, but I want to look at lowest and highest. So lowest is all the way down here, highest is all the way up here. And it looks like we are at 4 and -4 again. So in this case, our domain and range are really, really similar. Here, let's put it on the side where you can actually read it. Okay, so we have -4, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 4. So that is your domain and range for this little circle. Okay, then with letter E, the first thing that I see is these two arrows. So remember, those arrows tell me that it's going to go on forever and ever and ever. So it's going to go on to infinity. So I know my answer is going to have an infinity symbol somewhere for this one. So if I look at my domains first, I'm looking at how far left, the leftmost point is right here. the rightmost. So this is where it's going on forever and ever and ever. So in that case, my highest value is going to be infinity. And my lowest is still here at 0. So for this one, it's going to be a little different. We're going to say that x falls in between 0 and infinity. The other way you could say this, because all of the x values are greater than 0, you could also say that x is greater than 0. So these are actually two different ways that you could write the domain for this one problem, letter E. Let's take a look at the range then. So for the range, we look at the lowest and highest. So the lowest and highest, we kind of don't have a great lowest and highest point because, again, these are going on forever and ever and ever. So it's going to keep going up and over. This one's going to keep going down and over forever and ever and ever. So we don't have a highest and lowest point. So in that case, this is where we have that really crazy writing that we used during our exponential section. So we would say y is in between positive infinity and negative infinity. And this would be your answer for letter E. So what I want you guys to do here is pause this video and see if you can try F, G, H, and I. So see if you can try those last four. So pause this video right now, try those four, and then replay it or hit play again, and then I'm going to put the answers on here so you guys can check it. But make sure you're stopping it right now so you can try those four. So hopefully you stopped the video and tried these couple. So I have the answers for those next couple in these highlighted boxes. Notice for letter F, you could have two different answers for the domain. Both answers are correct. Okay, and then your assignment for today is going to be the other document that I attached. It's going to be the same idea. Write the domain and the range from a graph.